Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. Event companies everywhere, but not one that suits your needs. That seems to be the case these days. In most cases, that seems to be what's taking place. When we first started in business, or at least when I first started in business, we were the first ever event company to come out. And then following us, there were a few event companies that came out. But right now, we have a massive amount of event companies that are around us, and that means a massive amount of choices, and that means you need to think out exactly who you need, and what you need them for. Here are some tips as to what you look for when looking for an event company. Look for the experience, look for the number of years they have been in the business, look for the wow factor that they bring to the business, and look for people who recommend them from experience itself, who have used them and recommend them to you. That would be the best way to go. Lots of companies have this 3 quotation policy. Be careful when you use the 3 quotation policy. You need to use it, but at the same time, sometimes it's better to simply evaluate your event company, choose who you want to work with, give them a proper budget, give them a proper brief, and work with them. Some companies actually bring in about 10 people, and then it's a mishmash of ideas, and it really doesn't work. It's not beneficial to you, nor is it beneficial to the event person who's handling it. Enjoy your event. Delivering the brief. A concise, precise brief gives you a better event. When delivering the brief, don't digress. The event producer is sitting on the other side, or the event company is sitting on the other side, receiving the brief from you, is looking to figure out what you want to do. Give them an idea, give them a feel, give them your target market, give them what you want to do, the focus of where you're going to. Don't tell them the singer that you want, or the dance act that you want, or anything of that sort, because you're restricting their thinking when you do that. And you're hiring a professional to produce a professional concept, which you can then go through, and later on, you can then tidy it up and decide what you'd like to do or what you don't like to do. But first, you want that wow factor. That's why you're hiring a professional to do it for you. So if you're doing that, then deliver a precise, concise brief. Don't worry about the chairman's wife's bouquet, what the flowers have to be. That is not something that has to be brought up at the brief. Whether the CEO likes baila, or whether the MD likes classical music or Western music, that is not a part of the brief. Those are personal tastes. Here, you're aiming for something, you're targeting for something, you're focusing something that you want for your company, or for the event that you're doing, or for the party that you're doing. So deliver the brief concisely, precisely, and you will get the best product out of it. Enjoy your event. When designing an event, when you go to an event producer, do you give him themes? I have sat at many an event brief where the themes have come up. I hold my head when people tell me Oscars, Gatsby, retro, jungle. Not that any of these events are not glamorous, or any of these themes are not glamorous, but the thing is, they have been done and dusted. You're asking somebody to give you a professional opinion, you're asking somebody to give you a concept, you're asking somebody to give you something that is wow. Let him or her do the thinking for you. That is why you're hiring the person. Different theme events come up. Some events don't have themes at all. Some events simply have exercise in branding or an exercise in image enhancement. But when you do have themes, let your event person choose a theme for you. Let it be unique. Let it be out of the box. That's why you're asking for an event person. The other thing that you don't do is when you design your event, don't design events that are easy to do. Think about it. Bring it. To look at your venue, look at where you are. The easiest form of doing events these days is with technology. You put a stage, you put an LED screen, you put graphics onto it, and that's an event. Or that is the design of an event. That is really not the design of an event. All the elements that go into your event counts. What's going to be done there, what's going to be performed there, what's going to be sung there, what's going to come on the graphics there, what kind of feel is going to be there. There's even something called light design. putting up 150 lights up there and putting them all is of no use at all. Because sometimes a single spot can make all the difference between a dramatic look and a whole bank of lights just shining in your face. So let the professional that you have hired to do that, let him design it. Let him do the light design, let him do the feel, the look, and then you'll have an event on your hands that has a wow factor. That's a memorable one. Enjoy your event. Budgets play a big role in events. You need to know how much money you have to spend. And you need to be able to communicate that to your event person as well and say, this is my budget, this is what I can afford to spend. The only thing that you don't do when you do budgets is don't tell the event person only 75% of, if you have 100 rupees there, don't tell him you have 75 rupees. Give him the whole budget because he's going to take his pound of flesh anyway. But the quality of your event will drop if you give him something less, hoping to get a bargain. There's nothing called a bargain. It's just a fact that you know how much you need to spend. You give that to him, and from the event producer's side, it is his duty to make sure that he spends that on the event itself and not try and pocket a major part of it. He takes what is actually justifiably due to him for his work. That's how a budget is usually done. And there has to be trust between two parties. There has to be a mutual respect for each other. And when you do budgets or when you go into budgetary claims, do that. Lots of times I've been at meetings where the first question asked from the client is, what is your budget? You don't ask the client, what is your budget? You ask the client, what is it that you're hoping to achieve? What do you want to do? What is the feel that you want to get out of it? And once you have got all that together, your last question is, what is your budget? Because now you know what he wants to do, and then you cut it according to his budget. And be honest, if you can't cut it according to his budget, and if he's asking for the sun, earth, moon and stars, and you can't do it within that budget, tell him honestly, this can't be done for this budget. You can always give him a solution and say, this can be done, but don't lower your standards, don't lower your quality. Walk away if you think it's not possible. Enjoy your event. You have to keep one thing in mind. Events is not just a tamasha. Events is not just a party. It looks like a party. It looks like something grand most times, but it's not really that. Of course, yes, you do conferences. It's very serious business. You do panel discussions. You do award ceremonies. They are different story. They are motivational events. They keep going there. But at the end of the day, somewhere along the line, with most events, you find that there is music involved, there is dance involved, there is everything else, all those elements come into it. But don't treat it as a tamasha, don't treat it as a party, because when you do an event, events is a marketing tool. You have got a purpose there, you have got a focus there, and you want to achieve something there. It can be the brand image, it can be the enhancement of your company's image, it can be the motivation of your staff, it can be so many things. It doesn't matter what it is, but there is an ROI. There is a reason why you spend that amount of money and you have that event. Always remember that and go there with a target, with a focus, and remember, events is a marketing tool. And if used judiciously, it can be a very effective marketing tool. Enjoy your event. Choosing your venue, that is an important part of your event, deciding where you're going to have your event. It depends on how many people you've got, what kind of feel you want, what kind of look you want. So is it a 5-star venue that you're looking at? Is it a more intimate feel that you're looking at? Is it something out of the box, or is it something you're looking at by the beach, or a beach venue, or a hill venue, or wherever, somewhere up in the hills or up in the hill country, or something like that. But choosing your venue, this is how you go about it. For me personally, if I'm looking for a intimate feel, if I'm looking for a lounge effect, I would go to a place like the Cinnamon Grand, the Oak Room. I can put up to about, with all my paraphernalia of stages, etc., 350 up to 400 people inside there, and you can create a beautiful atmosphere. If I go to the Shangri-La, for instance, I'm looking for power. I'm looking for large grandeur. And then also remember, when you look for things like that, there's also a business of cost that comes into it, the cost factors. If you go to a place like the Shangri-La, for instance, you need to do things larger than life. If you go into the Cinnamon Grand Oak Room, I'm just using examples. There are many other venues that we work with as well. You need to be a little circumspect about it. Outdoor venues, be very aware of the fact that a lot of event people don't like to put their equipment out on a beach somewhere, so you need to know who's going to do what and how you're going to do it. A classical music orchestra would be very reluctant to play near a beach because of the sea spray, because of their violins, because of their instruments getting affected by the elements of the weather. Whereas maybe a DJ or something like a hip hop rap artist, all of them would be fine by a beach venue. So you have to take all these elements into consideration when you're thinking of planning a show. So venue choice is an important choice. Enjoy your event. You have decided to have an event. That's fine. But do you know who the audience coming to it is? Because that's something that even your event producer or event person needs to know. Because at the end of the day, audience profiling is an important, integral part of an event. You need to know who your audience is. You need to know who you're talking to. You need to know how to communicate with them and how to make their night a good night. Some people there might be a segment of your audience that is comfortable sitting at a sit-down dinner, or maybe even prefer it. Some of them would prefer a more informal atmosphere and maybe a buffet dinner. Some of your audiences, sometimes when you do an internal event where it is for company, where it's a combination of awards and motivation, then you need to be able to enhance the image of your company. The person sitting in your audience should feel proud to be a part of that company. You need to communicate that to them. They need to go out with that feeling that I am a part of this company and I'm proud to be a part of this company. Now, when you do things like that, taking for example's sake a motivational event, for instance, when you do it for your company, you have an awards segment, and then after that you have a band, you have a party, you have a bar that opens, and you have food and drink. But here, once again, you need to be careful, because the brand of your company, the image of your company is also during that party. Don't let it go on for hours and hours where people get drunk or people are, getting boisterous. Know when to cut it off. Know at which point to stop. And know how to make sure that the image of the company is maintained and the person who has come for that goes out having a good time and feels proud to be a part of that company. So wherever you go, audience profiling, very, very important. Always know who you're talking to. Enjoy your event. Hundred things can go wrong. Or this is just a little formula that I use. The 100 things can go wrong formula is very simple. You take it that 100 things can go wrong in an event, and then you get ready for 99. The balance one is the unexpected. That can happen, that might happen, and that you're ready for. Hopefully it won't happen, and it'll just, everything will go right. But It's attention to detail. That's the main thing here. Events are or doing events is a sometimes thankless job, because it means sleepless nights, it means lots of hard work, and it's a lot of attention to detail. And unless you pay attention to those details, it can be absolute chaos if you try to do an event on the fly. So always remember the 100 things can go wrong formula, where you're ready for 99, and the balance one, if it does crop up, it can make life easier for you because you're free to handle it. For instance, I'll give you one example. Let's say your MC has taken a washroom break and goes out to the washroom or goes out for something else, and you need to make an announcement. What you need to do is grab a mic, make the announcement. The audience shouldn't realize that there is no MC there or you're missing an MC. As long as the audience doesn't realize it and the event doesn't break or there is no pauses, there is no perceptible pauses, you are fine. So that's why I use the 100 things can go wrong formula, and you won't go wrong. Enjoy your event. One team, one focus. I keep saying this over and over again. It is not a client-supplier relationship that takes place when you do events. Once you have chosen your event producer or your event person or your event manager or event company or whatever you may like to call it, at that time, once a choice is made, you are one team, one focus. You're always going towards the same goal. You have the same target in mind. And so what you need to do is to work as one entity. That's the one team, one focus philosophy that works for you, and that will give you an event that will make life much, much easier than a client-supplier relationship. I have known or I have heard of it, thank God it has never happened to me, where a client would come to an event person and say, you promised me 10 lights, and start counting the lights out there on the stage when there's another 5 of them somewhere else, or little things like that. This is not that. If you're choosing a supplier to do your event, then it's a supply base. You don't get your wow factor, you don't get your creativity, you'll simply be supplied with the hardware. But when you choose an event person, then remember you're working together towards one goal, and it's one team, one focus, and one target that you have in mind. Always remember that, and you won't go wrong. Enjoy your event. Passion. I keep talking about passion at workshops. I keep talking about passion at interviews, and I keep emphasizing the word passion. The reason is because if you're not passionate about what you're doing, if you're not passionate about the work that you're doing, and this applies to many other things, not only events, but in events, 100% yes, you need to have the passion. If you don't have the passion, don't work in this industry. Go and look for something else to do, because it's not going to turn out right. You're not going to deliver the product that people will look forward to or want to see. Another thing that you will come across when you go and sit at an event brief or when you have conversations with potential clients is the words that are bandied around called out of the box, unique, wow, all those things will come in. If it needs to be unique, if it needs to be out of the box, if it needs to be wow, then you need to have the passion to create that wow. And a client should be able to choose somebody who can create that. And that is, once again, going back to what I've been saying earlier, the experience a person has, the track record a person has, the amount of time he has had in the industry, and what he has done. How out of the box has it been? How unique has it been? Or is it just a simple case of putting a stage, putting an LED screen, putting some graphics, putting a couple of dancers, and that's an event. That's not an event. You need to have the passion to create. And to create, you need to be able to think it out, feel it, and then produce it. Enjoy your event.